Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday night case updates.
It is.
There are a pile of them.
There really are. There's a lot. And it's almost all court, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, lots of court stuff happening, tons of court proceedings happening. We've said before, we felt like probably in some part trying to get lots done before the end of the year or before the holidays. But yeah, lots going on. Yeah, but before all that, how are you? What you doing?
I'm okay. I have a sinus infection. Honestly, I don't feel very good. Kind of been down all day, but other than that, I'm fine. Really, it's just sinus infections. They kind of knock your ass out.
They do. They suck.
Yeah.
Boo.
Been the case for me in the last couple days, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, we had a very fun Halloween.
We did.
We did a little witches market that was a trick-or-treating event. It was so fun. So many cute kids in all their costumes. And
oh, yeah. Yeah. So that was my favorite part, was just getting to see the kids in their costumes, and see how creative people are. Oh, my gosh. People blow me away with their creativity when it comes to Halloween costumes, especially, ones people have made.
Yeah.
So clever.
And the babies, dear God, the babies. Oh, so many cute babies. Yeah. Or the really cute ones. You got like a young couple that has like one baby, dressed all themed together, like a whole family of cows, or the one family of the Flintstones were absolutely fabulous.
Yes, they
were so cute. Loved it. Yep. Very fun. Yeah. We were witches. I mean,
Yeah, ish. I don't know. I wore horns, and so some people thought I was thought maybe I was Maleficent. Was kind of a cross between Maleficent and
horny Maleficent, I think.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was a cool outfit, so that
was great. Enough, right? Yep, we'll take it. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. I love it. Oh, GB was Waldo. Love it.
Oh.
And Cranky was a witch. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, GB's a teacher, said that she saw some really fun costumes from students. Oh, I love that. Oh, Amy was Velma and her husband was Scooby-Doo.
Oh, and nice.
Her brother was Shaggy and her daughter, who was in a wheelchair because she's injured, was the Mystery Machine. And her son was the monster that they caught. Well, my gosh.
Wow. Amy, look at that.
On. Yeah. Love it. Hello, Smiling. I want to say hi to all of our chatters. Welcome, you guys. Glad to see you here.
Oh, did you see what Paula said?
No.
We were trying to come up with something that will work with my power wheelchair, like a Dalek or something from Doctor Who.
Right.
A Dalek would be awesome, Paula.
It would. Well, just listen. It sounds to me like all you need to do is interface with Amy for next year, because she is full of great ideas.
Right.
I love it. How fun.
Oh, Janet says, I'm due in the beginning of February. I was thinking about trick-or-treating next year, but it would be more for me. Well, right. I mean, you take the cute baby around and then people give you candy. I almost said money. That'd be nice, but probably candy.
Yeah.
Yes. You'd be exterminate. That's what the Daleks say.
I have had a lifetime of eating my kids' trick-or-treating candy. I mean, that's just how it goes. But yeah, when you have a baby, hell yes, you take them trick-or-treating. Do you get the candy? Well, clearly,
You would be an irresponsible parent to be feeding your baby candy.
Right. Yes. Money works too. It's true. Yes. Well, good. I'm glad you all had a good Halloween. We did too. It was fun. Yeah. Well, there's a lot to talk about per normal, but I think we should start actually for once. We usually end with these guys, but I think we should start with them. Let's talk about the Daybells.
Let's do. So there's stuff going on mostly behind the scenes, several filings, but some interesting news to note. There is a competency evaluation review that is
Mhm.
coming up on the 9th of November.
For
And of
Lori.
course, for Lori. And it was all blacked out per usual. So,
Mhm.
but we figured that's what was coming here, is that she was going to be evaluated for competency again. And that is, in fact, happening.
Mhm.
Let's see. So, interestingly enough, there is a hearing to discuss the motion to sever, and it is on conveniently 11:10. So it's the day after the competency review for Lori. Now, I think that there's some planning going on here, because the judge really cannot rule on severance until they know for sure if she's
Mhm.
back into the hospital. And if she goes back into the hospital, I think it's likely that they'll,
Mhm.
you know. So I just thought those dates were
I
interesting,
I just don't know how they cannot.
right? At what point does it become like a violation of his legal rights?
Yeah.
I think that's where his attorney is coming from,
Mhm. Except for that his attorney doesn't even wanna go to trial for a year.
right? Because that was granted. They did grant they vacated the hearing, so there is no trial in January for anyone.
Mhm.
Can Chad divorce her from jail, and what would that mean? Um, I think he can. I
Mhm.
think that's possible with the help of his attorney. I don't know why he would need to, though, really. I mean, they're both locked up forever. Regardless of what happens with all these hearings, these people aren't going anywhere.
No.
And he can turn on her. It really wouldn't make, he doesn't, the crimes actually happened before they were married. And we
Mhm.
still don't know for sure if they are legally married, because the courts do not treat it like that.
No.
She is still Lori Vallow in the
Mhm.
in like the I court system. Like, she still does not have his last name. I
Yep.
don't know that she ever legally changed it. And
No, I
there,
believe she did not.
and there are questions about all of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't. It wouldn't matter. He could turn on her at any time. But can he just divorce her if she is incompetent? Now that's a question I don't know for sure. If you know, if because she can't respond. However, if he just divorces her and she can't respond after, in Idaho it's 21 days, the divorce is final. So,
Yeah.
good question. But I don't it that doesn't have to happen in order for him to turn on her.
No.
And it does really feel like that's where this is heading,
Well, in Idaho, there is no exemption, like marital exemption to testify
right?
if it involves injury to a child. So for no reason, yeah, there's no spousal privilege for that reason, because they weren't married when the crimes took place, but also because it all involves harming children except for Tammy.
Yeah. They're co-conspirators. So that changes everything, even with the law. But everybody died before they got married.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
didn't he sign his house over to Pryor? Yes.
Yep.
Were Lori and Chad married before that? Does she have an entitlement to his house? I don't believe that she does, um, for all of the reasons mentioned.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, GB says I've been waiting to see if Chad rolls on Lori. I think that's kind of where we all are. And
Mhm.
the severing of the trials, his trial being able to move forward without her, that's going to change things a lot. And
Mhm.
the timing of those two hearings is not lost on me. That he's
No.
going to hear the competency review before hearing the application to sever.
Mhm.
He's really, the judge has got to look at this hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. For
What is
sure.
Pryor going to do with the house? Sell it?
Mhm.
Sell it to
I mean,
recoup his money out of this insane, you know,
yep.
mess.
Properties in Madison County are still worth a lot.
Yeah.
I would imagine
If you're going to
Chad's
sell,
house
you'd
is
want to do
worth
it
at
now.
least, yeah, I would imagine Chad's house is worth at least 3 times what he paid for it.
Hmm.
And Now, as best we know, his kids are still living in it. It looks occupied. There was some rumor that perhaps they were actually moving, but I don't think that ever happened. It's
Mm-hmm.
as best I can tell from driving past there. Their same cars are there. It looks to me like they're still living there.
Yeah.
But that brings up another kind of interesting question, and it's really none of our business, but it makes me wonder: um, are they paying rent to Pryor,
Right. Well, I mean, the
or are
last
they
we
just living
looked,
in Chad's house?
what wasn't it listed as being John Pryor and Tammy Daybell's estate?
It was for a while, and Tammy's now been removed from it, and so
Okay.
it's as far as we know now, the deed itself or the property search only shows Pryor as being the owner of the house.
So that is interesting. Are they
It's
paying
really
their dad's
abnormal.
attorney? That would seem weird.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
right, sell it to someone who would not exploit it. Like, who the hell wants this house? Who the hell wants this house where all these
Nobody
murders happened?
local. Nobody
No,
local.
nobody local.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Who would want to live in that place? That back area where Tylee was buried, well, and JJ, I mean, that's a pasture. That's where people would typically grow their garden or,
Mm-hmm.
pasture some animals or maybe grow some hay or something. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't imagine anybody wanting to move in there and make that place their home.
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't
They
want to
should.
live there in the first place because it's on a really, really busy road, a busy, fast road, a country
Yeah.
road where people drive
Dangerous.
extremely fast. Yeah, dangerous.
Hmm.
I would never live on that road. But
That's an interesting thought, though, to knock the house down and make it a remembrance park or something.
mhm.
They won't, though, because this attorney is going to want his money.
Yep.
Yeah, it would need some major clearing and incense. Yes, it would.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's going to be curious. You know, we're curious to see what happens with the house, but this
Mhm.
is sustaining Chad for the moment, probably. Although,
Yeah.
I mean, I still think he probably owes his attorney more than what the house is worth in all of this time.
Mhm. I would imagine. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the thing. This is taking so damn long.
it is. Yeah. So we shall see. But the 9th and the 10th of November, so coming up next week,
Mhm.
are these two hearings. And so we won't be able to live stream them, obviously, but we will be able to update you on what occurs and, kind of what we learn from it. And you're right. Let's see. I want to just read this. Um, Pryor stated he didn't want Lori there for the separation hearing, said he couldn't talk openly with her in the courtroom. Right. He's planning to bring in her prior bad acts
Mhm.
and Alex's bad
Mhm.
acts, basically. So, yeah, it is interesting because we've not seen them speak against each other at all to this point. But
Mhm.
I think that's what we're about to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. This month is going to be very interesting as far as this case is concerned.
Yeah.
Yep. Janet says Pryor is going to be releasing a book after this, calling it. I
Right.
hope I hope he has a ghostwriter. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Or at least it's Grammarly. Come on.
Just don't let Mark Means ghostwrite it. That's all I'm saying.
Cranky says maybe that's why Pryor is so crabby all the time, wondering if he will ever get paid.
See, Cranky, I think there's really something to that. I've thought that for a
Mhm.
while now that I don't think Pryor is getting paid. That's my assumption or my opinion, not truth in fact, but my opinion that he's not getting paid and that he's assuming there'll be a good payday by the time this is over in the
Mhm.
value of that home. But he every chance he gets to bitch and complain and moan in court about how expensive everything is and how the state has everything at their fingertips and they can spend whatever they want and yada yada, but he
Which
doesn't
really
have
isn't
that.
true either. They have a
No.
budget, but
Right, but they have more people and he always complains about that they have all these people and it's just me. And everyone's
yeah,
like, that's your problem, Pryor. That's your
yeah.
problem. You hire some people then. But see, I think you're right that he's not getting paid yet
Mm-mm.
and that he's feeling the pinch of it because of course he also has other clients, we're assuming, and other,
You
days
think?
in court and other work. and
Right.
then has this voluminous amount of bullshit with this case. So
Right.
I would really like to go to Chad's hearing. We missed the last one that we were planning on going to due to the vid, but
Well, and we'll see, because
yeah.
speaking of the vid, the Omicron variant is kicking ass right here in our part of the
Oof.
state right now. Ask Katie, and if it's still risky like that, I don't know that I want to
Mm,
go spend that much time in the courtroom.
definitely in masks at the very least.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think anytime I go into one of those courtrooms, I'm gonna have to wear a mask just to mask my face.
Right? There's that. Yeah.
The poker face. This ain't it. So I think I
Mhm.
would have to be masked anyway because who knows? Right, hire an intern. Right? There's a law school in Boise.
Yeah.
So there's interns out and about that are looking for work. But I don't think Pryor really wants that help. This is where I think it's at. Again, my opinion solely.
Mhm.
He doesn't want help. He is a bull. He wants to do everything himself. He wants to say everything he wants to say. He wants to have the only opinion in the room. And I don't know that he wants help.
Yeah.
That's my thought. Hey, Cammy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But I was watching Crime Talk last night, Scott
Hmm.
Reich,
Yeah.
and he talked about a couple of things in the case I thought were really interesting. First of all, he said yet again that he thinks that Pryor really ought to just cut and run, and now would be the time to go. That he is
Hmm.
way over his head. So they
Hmm.
just released the FBI just released this report in this case that has to do with the GPS of the cell phones.
Hmm.
It is this huge, really complicated report, and they're trying to do, and I cannot explain what all of this means, so go watch Crime Talk and he can explain it. But basically, the FBI has
When this is
used,
over. When this is
yes,
over.
when this is over, has used a new and kind of controversial and not totally proven method with the GPS data from their cell phones.
Hmm.
And he said that in a lot of situations that report would be struck because the defense would have a fit over it. But he thinks John Pryor is not swift enough and savvy enough in these kinds of things to even know
Hmm.
what to do with that report. So I found that very interesting. Yeah, after this is over, go watch Crime Talk. He gives a description of all of it. I didn't fully understand it. It's basically they're using it to even closer pinpoint where people are like physically standing
Hmm.
with their phones. It's not just triangulating towers. There's more to it than that. And
Hmm.
it's new and it hasn't quite got its sea legs in court yet, which that was interesting.
Hmm. That is
But,
interesting.
he said that,
However, the proof is in the pudding.
well, it is. I mean, it's validated by the things that happened
Hmm.
for sure. But he said if this was a good defense attorney, he would be fighting that. And he hasn't said a word about it. And yeah. And, Scott Reich has been saying for a while that Pryor needs to get the hell out because he doesn't know what he's doing. And
Hmm.
he said it again that he thinks it's really time for him
Hmm.
to drop this case and get the
Yeah.
hell out before it gets real serious. Because
Yep.
he said he's worried about an appeal on Chad's part, having
Hmm.
Pryor as his attorney. And if this goes all the way through this death penalty trial with this attorney that's clearly not qualified, that he thinks he should drop it and let Chad become indigent so that he can
Hmm.
get state funded attorneys like Lori has.
Hmm.
Interesting stuff. But he said, there's stuff coming that is so complicated that, first of all, he's not familiar with it. And second of all, he just doesn't have the manpower in himself to handle something like that. So I thought that was really interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's what
Yeah.
we know for Daybell, but definitely next week is going to be an important week. Although probably we won't know rulings for maybe until the next week.
Yeah.
But those
Likely.
hearings, especially the severance hearing, honestly,
Hmm.
what are his what's his justification now? If Lori's
Hmm.
headed back to the hospital again,
Hmm.
it's gonna look a lot different.
This is going to get very interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, as if it hasn't already, but
Right?
yeah, wild. Okay, well, so there you have Daybell. Adam Montgomery. Adam
Yeah.
Montgomery, of course, is charged with now, finally, with the murder of Harmony Montgomery, his daughter. But he's also in court on all those weapons charges. And that was supposed, I mean, they were in pretrial this week, or supposed to be, and then in jury selection in next week. And the defense has said that they are realizing that they're not prepared. There's too much information. There's some talk of things that the prosecution turned over to them that could be other suspects. Now, not in Harmony's murder, understand, just in all these weapons charges that came up. And
Hmm.
so the prosecution agreed, let's put this off. So that's going to go nowhere right now. But what we do know, though, is that Adam is, securely in jail on lots of charges and he's going to stay there. So
Yeah.
that's the most important piece, and honestly, at this point, who even cares about the weapons charges? These are the murder charges against his daughter. That's what I'm
Much more
interested in.
important.
Yeah, for sure, but that's where that sits right now. So, as always, top of the FOS list, Adam.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah. Trash.
yeah, 100%. Okay, so with that being said, I'm just going looking at our list here. Talk to us about Richard Allen.
Richard Allen. So Richard Allen has been in court. So he is the man that has been arrested and charged with the murders, with the Delphi murders,
Mm-hmm.
with Abby and Libby.
Yeah.
So his bond is set at $20 million, which, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, here in Idaho, the Daybells are on $1 million bonds, and that is gigantic.
Mhm.
So a $20 million bond,
Yeah.
they're just making damn sure he doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. So there was a domestic incident on June 18th of 2015 at his home.
Mhm.
And his wife called the police because he was drunk and belligerent. And so they're looking into kind of some more things about him that we didn't know, and that's one of them. That
Mhm.
there's some history there. She felt like she actually ended up taking him to the hospital for a medical evaluation because he just lost his shit.
Mhm.
This was actually before the murders.
Yeah.
But that we haven't known very much about him
No.
leading up to. Of course, all the neighbors are coming out to say he was just a usual guy, normal family man,
Mhm.
nothing out of the ordinary. I just think maybe our meter of what is normal is broken,
Yeah.
because we always hear this about
Mhm.
people. And I think, man, are we paying this little of attention to each other?
Apparently.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, the Rick we know would never do something like this. But it's pretty clear he did. I don't think they're going to hold him on a $20 million bond without
Yeah.
some pretty damn good evidence.
For sure. But you have to wonder at this point, is this the only crime he's committed?
Right.
I mean, really? This was just a one and done? Really?
Yeah. I think that's a worry. I think that's a big worry that there are other,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it should be. And I mean, he's lived in that area for a long time. In that house he's in and then in other
Hmm.
places close to them. But,
Right.
he's lived in that area for quite a while and
But I mean, the gall on this guy that he has continued to work and live in this neighborhood and community and watched all of this play out, and all of the grief and the difficulties the police had, and all the shit that's gone down since these girls got killed, and he just
mhm,
kept showing up for work every day.
yeah,
Like, I mean, that's a serious psychopath that is not
mhm,
affected by this.
mhm,
You know.
yeah, without a doubt.
Oh, Janet says, I did hear that someone close to him turned over relevant info that led to his arrest, unconfirmed but reported. Well, that is a big
Interesting.
question right now. Yes, he did insert himself as a witness, and then he gave the photographs to the families for their funerals, and like, I don't know, there's just a bunch of gross stuff going on here, but only a psychopath could not have a breakdown during all of this and still live in the community. Jessica says, who you are in public is what you want people to think, is who you want people to think you are. Yeah, it's true. And psychopath men are definitely really, really good at that. I think we see that in this case. Just the fact that he can live in that community and not be suspicious is crazy.
Absolutely.
But that's what we know for now.
Yeah.
On him.
So Scott was just he just popped in my office to tell me that he just sent me the GIS on Chad's house.
Oh,
he just looked it up while we were talking. So it does show single owner John Pryor.
Wow.
I'm not going to show the GIS on the screen because it has Pryor's home address on it.
Oh.
Which seems
that is
kind of
so
sneaky
interesting, though. Like they've bartered. They've bartered for his.
Yeah, that property is nearly 4 acres.
Is it? That's bigger than I thought it was.
3.75 acres.
Is there a value?
Not on the GIS, no.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, just so you know, that's where that sits.
That is where it still sits. That is weird that Chad's children are still living in the house and that Pryor actually owns the house.
I know. I'd be very curious to know what their arrangement with him is,
Right?
Yep.
We get to live here until the trial's done and then he sells the house, like.
Right. Anyway, so sorry for breaking into the Allen report for that, but it's worth knowing. Yeah.
Right. Yes, JR, I wonder that too, because they, going back to the Delphi case, they did dig next to the fire pit in the backyard. And so, yeah, everybody's questioning, what was that, where the trophy was? Was that where the murder weapon was? Bloody clothes? Like what? But it had to be something he didn't want to get rid of. Because clothes he could have just burned, put in a bag in a dumpster. Like, I mean, there will be a lot of ways. I bet it's weapon or trophies. And is that the only thing they found buried in that property? Asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, I think that's really, those are things that won't come out for a while, but it's going to be very interesting to see. But also, I'm still seeing stuff that still makes me think that this is tied back to the Anthony Shots account.
There's still that possibility.
Still think that there is a connection there. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's still what I'm thinking, is that there's still a connection. There is some kind of a pedophile ring or a pornography ring, child porn ring, something in this area with these people, some of these people that ties back to this. I can't quite put my finger exactly on what it is, but it's here.
It is. And was Richard Allen, is there a connection between him and that account, or between him and Keegan Kline? Like, yeah, that's still a big question. Is that house owned outright, the Daybell house? Do we know?
We don't know.
Or is there a mortgage on it?
We don't know if there's a lien on it or not.
Yeah. Lots of questions still.
Yeah.
Yes, Alan did, Jessica, he did show up to things.
Yes. Yeah, he showed up to things. He printed pictures at CVS where he worked. One of the families, or both, I think one of the families, was printing a bunch of pictures for the funeral of one of the girls. And he's the one that printed them and then gave them to the grandmother at no cost.
There's been a public statement come out from CVS about how horrified they are and how they are willing to assist law enforcement in any way that they possibly can. And of course, they had no idea who they were employing at the time.
Yeah. What's the fourth thing we spoke of on the other video? I don't know.
Fourth thing?
In the Allen case? In the Delphi case, Jessica? I don't know.
Maybe give us a little more info. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So that's what we know. But
Mhm.
as we all know, there's just a lot more that just continues to pour out about
Well, like the
Richard
probable
Allen.
cause, arrest warrant,
Hmm.
search warrant, all that stuff is sealed.
Hmm.
So we don't know, how they
Hmm.
got to this point.
And boy,
It'll leak though, it
the
will.
the YouTube attorneys, the the TikTok
Oh, it
attorneys.
was 4chan, Jessica. It was 4chan,
Oh,
which is a
4chan
message board, and someone called the Delphi murder by their first name, Richard,
in 2020.
in
Yes,
2020.
on 4chan. And then when people started to push them on it, they started backtracking that was just a typo. They don't actually know who that person is, but called him Richard.
Yeah,
Yes, it
that is weird.
really makes it's very weird. Yep. Yep. Really weird.
Yeah, yeah, and
I
agreed.
agree,
Well,
Walla. Yep. Really
yeah,
makes you wonder if there's more, yep, more to this story, or if he has more victims in other places, or if he's assisted other people, like,
right?
you know. But 4chan has been well known for having child porn issues.
Oh yeah, it's.
Yeah, it's
I
full
mean,
of
it's
predators
it's
and
it's
incels. Yeah.
built on predators.
Does it show names of persons commenting? It is a chat board, and I am guessing it's just, pseudo names that people are using. I don't know.
Yeah, they're just avatars and stuff. It's not
Hmm.
real names.
But it's still very weird, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Well, let's talk some crazy shit about Nicholas Aliverdian.
God, this guy
Cause
just never
what
goes away.
the fuck? You guys, he's got more rape allegations. But guess what? They're not in the US this time.
No,
They're in England. Apparently, this mofro raped a food blogger in England back in 2017. And so the authorities in Essex, England, are now considering charges and investigating that. If they bring charges, the UK will not release Aliverdian to the US until those charges are fulfilled.
right?
It could delay his extradition to the US by years because, of course, in their area, they're going to take precedence. So it
Hmm.
could delay him by years. Uh, but this is just more of the same, you know? It's just more of the same stuff. And honestly, I think it just helps to continue to back up
Yeah,
that we know exactly who this person is and what he's up to.
yeah, yeah. I think so. And I mean, get him in prison somewhere. Just get him
Mm,
away from humanity
mhm.
because clearly he has no right to be around people.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. He also stole or extorted £3,000 from the food blogger. Does this surprise anybody?
No,
Not at all.
because financial crimes and sexual assault are clearly his MO.
Mhm.
Jeez.
Yep. So, couple of things though that came out from new articles about that, and there's one more I have to share, one more piece of info, but
Mm.
this is the first time we've seen a picture of his wife. So this is a
Honey,
picture
you
of
can
his
do
wedding.
so much better.
Right, darling, what are you doing? Yeah, apparently they got married not too long after the rape incident. Uh, and then, of course, he faked his death. Now, I think it's interesting because we'd laughed all along that the wife that was, posting the death notices and all of these things, we were laughing it was probably him. Well, there was a wife because he got married in the UK just about the same time that he faked his death in the US.
What an idiot.
And this is her. Yeah.
This is what you want to saddle yourself with?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Unfortunately, her name is Miranda. And Miranda, babe, no.
No.
I know
All you
you're
got
better than this.
all you got to do is run because he can't leave. So, it's
Right.
not that hard. That's the first time I've seen a picture of him in a long time that didn't have some kind of fake oxygen mask on.
Right. Okay. Well, this is where it gets really interesting and kind of hilarious. Um,
Mm.
what if he keeps fighting for bail in Edinburgh, or is he in Glasgow now? In Edinburgh, I think. He keeps fighting for bail because he says that, because of COVID, he can't breathe and he has to have assisted oxygen and all of these things. Uh, yeah, that's not true.
I didn't think so. It's so fake.
The court documents, the medical documents that the prosecution marched into court with prove that his lungs are fine. He doesn't need oxygen. This is just a part of his scam. But
Hmm.
this article from the Sun nearly killed me. This is the Scottish Sun. I know, I know. Kind of a maybe not the greatest source, but this article. He has sacked his legal team again. He's been through 5 legal teams in the last year. So, a source at the jail says that he had this is so UK and so not the way things are written in the US. I love it. Uh, says that he had a row in the Scots prison after a stormy confrontation with his attorney. The attorney's name was Ronnie Ranucci. And Ronnie apparently was telling Nicholas that he thinks that he needs to accept expert reports about him having a condition. The condition is narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh, yes. This is going to go great when you present it to a narcissist.
And apparently, according to the witness, he freaked the hell out and screamed at his attorney in his and completely lost his Irish accent.
Oh,
And
I bet.
in a
Scottish.
very clear American voice yelled at him that I am not crazy.
Oh, dude. Oh.
So word on the street is that the attorney was saying if you accept the diagnosis, we can work with that with the courts that you have a mental health disorder that has been untreated and those are things that we need to work on and that would be in your best interest. And he was extremely offended, went pretty crazy again, completely lost his accent, which is so funny, and is now back to representing himself.
Oh, boy.
So he has court next week, and it's been projected that he's going to show up to court by himself without representation.
Is he going to be in a wheelchair and is he going to have
The oxygen
fake
on.
oxygen mask on?
I'm
How
sure
is he
that's
being
true.
allowed to have that if he doesn't need it?
I
I've
don't
seen
know.
pictures of him with 2 or 3 different kinds.
Yeah.
Because the one had the big bag on it, like that they
Mhm.
use when they're trying to resuscitate you.
Mhm.
Like, dude, that is not what you wear if you're actually on oxygen. He wears a
Yeah.
mask. It's not even a cannula. It's the
Oh,
thing
it's
that
like a
they put
whole
over your.
face thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a little more in the hospital than it is out of the hospital for most people.
One of these times
Mm.
he's going to show up in one of those old-fashioned like scuba whole headgear things.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll be ordering up an
So,
iron lung. Oh,
yeah, very sorry to hear that he has another victim. That makes me very sad for her. But I'm glad she came forward. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for coming forward. This guy needs every freaking book thrown at him.
he does.
So that's where things stand. But I hate to hear that that could, delay his extradition back to the United States. But I don't think that the prosecutor in Utah's given up on this. He
No, I don't
really
think so.
wants him.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think everybody's just got to get in line. They just need to start actually moving forward with this crap.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there you go. Let's
Hmm.
see. Christy, let's talk about, Bonola.
Yes. So you will probably remember the murder of Orsolia Gall that happened in Queens
Mm-hmm.
in New York over the summer. And David Bonola has pled guilty to her murder. But what he's pled guilty to is first-degree manslaughter. Now, if you'll recall, he stabbed Orsolyagal 55 times and then dismembered her and put her in her son's hockey bag and left her body on the street. It was absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
They are confirming now that he did, in fact, have an affair with Orsolyagal for 2 years. And that's what brought him into her house, and the familiarity that, that there was with her home and her and all of that.
Yeah.
He was a handyman and he had worked at her house, but they had also had an affair.
Yeah.
So we're awaiting sentencing now. But the prosecutor's office in Queens, man, they are really patting themselves on the back for getting this plea deal done.
Yeah.
And okay. I'm just a little surprised that it's first-degree manslaughter for the brutality of this murder.
Yep.
And the work that he did to conceal his crime. How is this not a murder charge?
Yeah.
I'm sentencing is in a couple of weeks. He'll get around 25 years. Does this seem like a 25-year crime to anyone?
No.
I wonder what her family thinks. They are supposed to be putting out a public statement here pretty soon. And, then there will be the sentencing, so they'll have an opportunity to speak then too. But I don't know. The way that the prosecutor's office is, slam dunking and patting themselves on the back is kind of gross to me. This dude is one scary motherfucker. And he's going to get 25 years for this? I just bet that does not sit well.
It doesn't seem like enough. No, it doesn't. Especially with all the extenuating circumstances, the abuse of a corpse, all of the things that he did.
God, the things that he did to her.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, on one hand, I'm glad for their family that this is coming to a close so that they can somehow start getting onto a path of healing if they can. Yeah. But I am with you. I feel like justice just doesn't feel like it's been served.
No, that's scary. That dude could get out and kill somebody else. I mean, you do something like that once, you're screwed up forever. Like that's, you don't get past something like that.
For sure.
So that's what we know.
Yeah. So I wanted to report on little missing Quentin Simon. The fact is there's just not much to report. They still haven't found him. They still think he's in a landfill. There is still a huge search happening at the landfill. Statistically, when bodies are lost in landfills, they are rarely found. And the fact that he is so tiny is just not in their favor at all. So it really sucks. The mother, who the police have named as their number one suspect, though have not arrested, did a little press conference type thing last week and said that if it is determined that I'm at fault, I will drive myself to the police station.
Yeah.
If it is determined,
they need to cuff her. I mean, it's such a weird thing to say. That is not something an innocent person would say. She just implied that maybe the police will think that she did something illegal.
Yeah.
What?
If it's been determined. There's also a babysitter who says that she believes that he actually drowned.
Oh, wow.
It's just so gross. It's so sad. Her behavior has been so beyond the pale. And I'll be honest, I hope that someday I have to get on this podcast and apologize for being so negative about her because they figured out what happened and it wasn't her fault at all. But that's just not how this is presenting at all. It's awful. So we'll keep an eye on it, but that's about all there is to say. Did want to update a few things in the Paul Pelosi attack.
Yes.
So David DePappy he's been arraigned, or yeah, he's been ordered to be held without bail. He was arraigned on Tuesday, and the public defender entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. He told the police apparently that this was going to be a suicide mission. One of the things that was said, that has been said by some media sources who seem to think that this is just a real funny joke, was that Paul Pelosi was in his underwear. Somehow they tried to turn this into a gay thing. There's been a lot of stupid and terrible things said. But the police have verified that both men were fully clothed. Now, it was in the middle of the night. If Paul Pelosi came stumbling out of his bed with an intruder in the house in his underwear, so the hell what?
Right? That could happen to anybody.
I'm not sure why that's even a thing, or why we should care, or why that makes this story any different or funnier or
Because there
anything.
are certain news sources that are making this to be a funny joke instead of attempted murder on an 82-year-old man with a hammer, for Christ's
Who's
sake.
still in the ICU.
Yeah.
Who's still in the ICU. But this is what the district attorney, Brooke Jenkins, wrote in the filing. His intent could not have been clearer. He forced his way into the Pelosi home, intending to take the person third in line to the presidency of the United States hostage and seriously harm her. Thwarted by Speaker Pelosi's absence, defendant continued on his quest and would not be stopped, culminating in the near fatal attack on Mr. Pelosi. Without being questioned, DePappy told officers and medics at the scene that he was sick of the lies coming out of Washington, D.C. I really didn't want to hurt him, but this was a suicide mission. I'm not going to stand here and do nothing, even if it costs me my life. Yeah.
And do nothing. Like, what did this do besides ruin your life
Yeah.
and potentially Paul Pelosi's?
Mm-hmm. Oh, apparently his name. Oh, the only time he spoke during the arraignment Tuesday was to tell the judge how to pronounce his last name, which is DePap.
Oh, is
DePape?
it?
DePap?
There's
I'm still not sure.
there's been a bunch of different versions out there. I have
Uh-huh.
no clue which one's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we know so far, but he actually did think that this would be a suicide mission.
Yeah. Well, he does have federal charges now too.
Yes, there's federal kidnapping charges, as well as the state bringing charges for attempted murder and elder abuse and kidnapping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the
Trash.
court,
Ugh.
yep. In the court filings, they said that he came in the house and said, "Are you Paul Pelosi?" Oh, he woke up with this man standing over here. I'm asking him, "Are you Paul Pelosi? Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?"
My God.
Pelosi told DePappy or whatever, that his wife was not home and would be gone for several days. And then he threatened to tie Paul up. The first of 10 such threats. He had, zip ties.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul finally got to the bathroom where he called 911, where his phone had been charging, apparently. And while he was talking to the dispatcher, the attacker was yelling at him and telling him to hang up the phone. So there's all of that evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there's a big question about what happened here.
Yeah.
I had heard at one point that he had a list and that there were 4 names. Is that for sure?
That's something that the police had said. Yeah.
But they're not saying the names, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
That's what I figured. And really, for people's safety, they shouldn't. But
Yeah.
that was interesting too. But he thought he was going to have a big shootout with the cops and end whatever the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
Man,
Yep.
it's awful.
It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Yep, for sure. So the last 2 cases that we have to discuss tonight are Nicolas Cruz and Daryl Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Before we do that, we're going to unroll a little segment that we are now going to call, in this week's episode of Judges Who Have Had an Ass Full, a clip first of Daryl Brooks and his judge earlier this week sparring in court yet again because now they're talking about sentencing. And I know this will not surprise you, but his behavior has continued to be terrible. But even worse, the second clip that I'm going to show you is in the sentencing of the Cruz matter. Another showdown, we've showed you before some showdowns between that judge and the defense. The defense in this case has been absolutely appalling. They have been so disrespectful to the judge, it's hard to even believe. There will be some law licenses on the line when this is over. I guarantee you.
Well, I mean,
it has been terrible. Look at this. A defense attorney flipping people off in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Also laughing. Defense attorneys laughing at very inappropriate times, like during statements of families whose children were shot and killed by this kid.
My God.
It is so beyond the pale. The judge had it. This is about 7 minutes long. But again, every time I go to cut these down, I go, no, you probably need the context. But the context of the Darrell Brooks incident is that the judge wanted to make a record because Brooks has been saying that he had shock instruments on his heels or his ankles during these proceedings, which the media said that too. But I'm guessing it's because Brooks had said it. And the judge wanted to make a record about that, that's not really true, that he had restraints on, which I think really is what he wanted to be seen as an attorney, as a professional in the courtroom. What he did not want to be seen was anyone, thinking that he was an inmate, and he didn't like the fact that he was restrained to the table. You can't go to court being accused of murdering 6 people and injuring 67 people and not think that you're going to be restrained the whole time. Anyway, and then of course an incident in the Parkland in the Cruz incident that speaks for itself. So I'm going to go ahead and let this video play.
The courtroom. This courtroom was closed to the public, and that was really to maintain that privacy, if you will, or secrecy, if you will, regarding the restraint system. And so I believe it's important that that information not be released to the public. It will be available, of course, to the court and the parties. And if there is an appeal, any attorney that may represent you can certainly look at that, but it'll otherwise be under seal. So
why would that?
The record is very clear on the restraint system that was utilized during this trial.
I have a question to that.
Okay.
Why is that remaining sealed, but everything else being open to the public?
I've indicated my reasons, sir, on the record. I'm not going to restate them. So,
well, I think that the public, if they're allowed to see search warrant information and things like that, then I think that they should know that it was a shock device on my ankles. There was no
shock device.
It was a shock device. I was told it was a shock device,
Mr. Brooks.
And
that's
it was
why
covered
I'm
up.
the record.
It was covered up by black cloth, so the jury purposely could not see it, and so that the public cannot see it. I was told that a chair had to be placed on my side so that no one can see that I was shackled with ankle shocks. I think the public should know that. The jury should have known that. That's what they were.
Mr. Brooks, I've made my ruling. Your characterization
I respect your
of
ruling,
those
but
as,
it should be noted.
Your
it should be
objection is noted for the record.
It should be noted that I had a shock device on my ankles. That's fact. It's a fact.
Sir.
It is a fact. I'm the one that had them on my ankles. I inquired about what they were. Obviously, I'm going to inquire about what's being put on my body. I was told that they were a shock device, which I know how a shock device looks because I've been through this before in Milwaukee. So I know what a shock device is. It was clearly a shock device that was purposely not shown to the jury or to the public. Purposely not. And then now you're saying that it's going to be sealed. Well, why should it be sealed? The public doesn't deserve. The public deserves to know.
You've made a record.
The public deserves to know about things pertaining to a search warrant, but not the fact that I was limited by a shock device. That if I moved the wrong way, I could have got shocked with all this voltage.
It's absolutely false that you had a shock device
false,
on,
and
sir.
you know that it's not false.
Well, I have the photograph.
Well, show
that
the
will be part
where's
of
the
the
photographs?
record.
Where's the photographs?
And they
You
will
just
be
said they would be
sealed
sealed. Why do they need to
from
be
public
sealed?
view
Why
for
do
the
they need to
reasons
be
that I've
sealed from
already
the public?
indicated.
Why do they need to be sealed
Mr.
from
Brooks,
the public?
I need to move on to scheduling.
Can we move on to subject matter jurisdiction that hasn't been proved for the record?
All right, so
can we move on to that?
Mr. Brooks, I really don't want to remove you from the courtroom today,
It-
but I need to move on.
I don't want to be removed, but you're not going to sit here and tell me on the record what was on my body when I was told what it was. That's inaccurate, and I refuse.
At a
Your
later
Honor,
point in time, I
Your
will
Honor,
put.
I refuse to sit here and let you make an inaccurate record when you know that it was in fact a shock device. That's why I had the black cloth in front of the table so it couldn't be shown. That's
not
why I had
right.
a chair sitting on the side of me that was told needs to cover up the fact that I had a shock device on my ankles. And I think it's very, very, very unfair, and it's dishonorable to get on a record and not tell the truth. I'm not trying to dishonor you, Your Honor. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm not trying to disrespect your court. I just want the truth to be told. That should not be sealed. If everything else could be open to the public, then the public should know that I had a shock device on my ankles. That was purposely not shown to the jury or to the public. They should know that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brooks. I disagree wholeheartedly with your
Well,
characterization.
it's not true.
Mr. Brooks, I didn't interrupt you. Please
It's not
don't
true.
interrupt me.
It's not true.
Mr. Brooks?
I'm quite sure there's cameras rolling right now because there are always cameras rolling. There's always audio on.
Mr. Brooks, I need
There's
to move on to
There's public in the
scheduling.
courtroom. I had a shock device on my ankles, and they purposely did not want to show that to you guys or to the jury. That's
Mr.
why I
Brooks,
can only move
I'm advising you.
here or here.
Mr.
That's
Brooks,
the
I'm
reason
advising
why.
you.
And I always had the chair right here. Everybody that came in this courtroom seen that I had a chair right here, even though I had no counsel. What is the reason for me to have a chair right here?
All right, Mr. Brooks,
Why
any
did I have a black cloth
any
in front of the
further
table?
interruptions will result in you being removed to the other courtroom
Okay,
because
and
you're
you
not
hold me
letting
in
move
contempt.
on
That's
to
okay.
scheduling.
Is it civil contempt or criminal contempt?
All right, one more interruption and you will go to the other courtroom.
Well, they need to know that.
Stop.
They need to know that. They need to know the truth.
I'm going to ask the state some questions. If you interrupt when I do that, you will be removed to the other
Okay,
courtroom.
remove me then.
All right,
Remove me
Attorney
then. It's
Basie.
not going to stop the fact that they need
All right,
to know that the shock device
he's
is on my
interrupted.
ankles.
I'm sorry, everyone. We'll have to clear the court.
Bringing my children, I think that's highly improper. It's being
I didn't even know you have children. I don't know what you're talking about. Your children? What about your children?
For them to comment on my children is highly improper. Before this court to allow that kind of testimony
Okay.
is also improper.
I don't remember any comments about any children. And if there was, it obviously didn't, it came and went without me noticing it.
Judge, I can assure you that if they were talking about your children, you would definitely notice it.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line. In fact, you're excused. You need to go sit in the back with your chief public defender.
He's the public defender.
Mr. Weeks, please ask the lawyer from your office to go sit down and not say anything else. To try to threaten my children and bring up my children is inappropriate. Go to the back of the room now. That just violated about every rule of professional responsibility that I have never. If you're going to get up here and you're going to...
Judge, I asked you to go sidebar on this matter.
You, sidebar or not, you don't have one of your assistant public defenders say something about my children?
Judge, that same venom that the court is expressing is the same venom that defense counsel had to sit through this entire morning when
She
their
brought
children
up her
were
children
being
multiple
referenced.
times during the trial. Nobody knows if I'm barren or not. They don't know
Judge,
about my children.
Judge.
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge,
Sit down, Mr. Weeks.
please do not summarily dismiss
I'm
me.
summarily dismissing
asking
you.
the
Go
court.
sit down.
I'm asking the court. I asked the court to go sidebar.
Go sit down. You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
everyone
Your
in this
assistant just
courtroom-
did that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we had to
Go
endure.
sit down. Miss McNeil has made her children a spectacle more than once during this trial. That was her choice. You have absolutely no right to have one of your assistants come up here and suggest something about my children. Now, please go sit down.
Judge.
You're
Judge,
inappropriate and out of line. Go sit down.
Holy shit.
Those two need to go to lunch.
Well, they do,
These
but
judges.
here's the thing I want to say about the shockers. which he said shackles first
Mm-hmm.
and shock. And I think he doesn't know the difference between those two
Mm-hmm.
things. Secondly, if he had shocker ankle bracelets on, he would have been on fire the first day of court. He would never have lived to this point. Like, if they had been shocking him during court, he'd be dead a long time ago. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
let's get real.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone in the chat had said that the deputy behind him looked like he had absolutely had enough. And I said,
He
yeah, he's
did.
just back there daydreaming about if he did have shockers on that bitch, what he would have been doing with them.
Right.
Yeah.
They were trying to cover the shackles
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to save face for him
Yes.
as he was representing himself by
Mm-hmm.
covering his shackles. They
Mm-hmm.
did it to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's too stupid to even recognize it.
Right. Yet he wants it. He's trying to insinuate in some way that they were doing that because of all of the unfair treatment he was receiving. That they didn't want the jury to know he was shackled as if they were doing something wrong. Bro,
They're
you're
always
the
shackled in court.
prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
And
But
my God, those defense attorneys are so rude and disrespectful.
unbelievable. Judge, don't dismiss me summarily. You're dismissed.
Get out. Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. You chose to represent the Parkland school shooter, and you don't like
Mhm.
how you're being treated?
Well,
Too fucking bad.
they're public defenders. I mean, that guy was
Still,
like the
yeah,
leader of the public defender's office. But yeah.
right. But that's
Yes.
what public defenders do. I mean, if you
Mhm.
don't like it, get a different job. I mean, come
Mhm.
on.
Well, like Cranky said, F you. No one had to endure what you had to endure. How about the people whose kids are dead? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You guys are the victims in this trial? Okay,
No,
Becky. Yeah, you're the victims. Got it.
that is
Yeah, sure.
pathetic. What shitty
Mhm.
leadership they have in that public defender's office.
Mhm.
And
The
if you can't take
condescending
that heat,
way,
get out, man.
yeah, the condescending way he stormed up there and talked to the judge. He's lucky he wasn't sitting in a cell. That
Yeah.
was really beyond the pale. But she's
Yeah.
absolutely had it. Had
Mhm.
it. For good reason.
Yeah. For a very good reason. It's just
Yeah.
disgusting.
It is the court of children. What's the children thing they were talking about? So apparently at some point, one of the defense attorneys has referenced her own children a few times. And that somehow blew into a big argument about mentioning children.
Well, that somebody, I think one of the victims' family members, had
Yes.
said something about, well, if it was your children.
Was your children. Yes.
I mean, really? This
These
is
guys
your
have all
fit?
been very hurt about the fact that pretty much she let the families get on the stand and say whatever they wanted in the victims' impact statements.
Well, I think they
And
have that right.
that they were hurt. Their feelings were hurt. It
Yes,
wasn't
not
fair.
about you, bro. Not about you.
She could put them in contempt, yes. Honestly, though, I think she just really wants this shit to be over. This happened yesterday, and today it ended.
Yeah.
I mean, today she handed down the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Christy, you have that story.
And it's life.
Yeah,
They
without
gave him
possibility of
life.
parole.
No possibility of parole. He's done. He's
Yeah.
going to prison forever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's why the judge was like, I just want this to be done.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah, the defense team needs shock shackles. See,
Mhm.
I think, because, you know, Brooks wants to come off real smart, but I don't think Brooks is near as smart as he tries to pretend he is. I
Right.
don't think he knows the difference. I think he thinks shackles are shockers.
Mhm.
The way he kept saying those two words, I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, you've got this screwed up in your own head, and now you're trying to
Mhm.
make it into something, just like everything else he did.
Mhm. Yep.
Mm.
Yes, one of the dads did flip off the Parkland defense attorneys as well as
Mhm.
Nicolas Cruz today. Yeah.
I think that would be the least of what I would do.
Well, some of them are threatening like personal legal action. Some of
They
the
are.
families are.
They've got the names of the defense attorneys, and they for their behavior.
Mhm. Yeah. Their
I mean,
behavior's been beyond the pale this entire
it's
time.
ridiculous. And they're sitting there next to Nicolas Cruz,
Yeah.
the Parkland school shooter who pled guilty.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question that he's
Yeah.
guilty. He pled guilty. God,
Mhm.
they've only been here for the sentencing
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Amy, she did. Amy said, I was kind of shocked with some of the things the parents were allowed to say. Not that they were in the wrong, but shocked the court allowed it. Yeah, and she really just, went, have at it. Yeah, some courts wouldn't have allowed some of the stuff. Quite a few people told him they hoped that he burned in hell and some things like that, and she let it go.
That gets said in sentencing hearings all the time.
Yeah.
It's their
But
one
somehow
chance.
the defense, yeah, it's their one chance, and somehow, the defense thought that the judge was just really being unfair that she was letting them say things like that. Why wouldn't they?
Well, and first of all, why are you taking it personally? You didn't shoot up the Parkland school.
Yeah.
He did.
So what's your problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So wild. So, yeah, Brooks saying he had them in Michigan as well. Yes. Okay, Daryl. We all know you're a career criminal.
Right. Yeah.
We got it.
Dude, you've been convicted of 76 counts, okay? You should just shut up because you're never getting out of prison, buddy. Ugh.
So we will still have sentencing in that matter. And I think it's pretty clear that he's still going to be representing himself and asking to get an official ruling on subject matter jurisdiction.
He just keeps saying that. Like, he knows that it means something important. I think he
decided
just
that from
grabs
now on,
onto things.
that's going to be my argument on any argument I get in.
Subject matter jurisdiction. Yeah. I think,
doesn't matter
though,
what it is.
when you hear him talk for a while, he's learned enough to have some lingo that he uses. But he doesn't know anything.
No.
I think that really he kind of showed his ass again there.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Yep. Yeah, Brooks does mimic. Yeah.
He does. Yeah.
He
He's just
picks up
picking
what he's hearing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, can you imagine when they start doing victim impact statements with Daryl Brooks? They're going to have to keep him in another room. They're not going to be able to have him physically in the room. There's no way. He will never shut up.
Yeah. And when he screams over the parents of the child that was killed in this, oh no. Or anyone else. But maybe they should introduce a shock device. See, Janet, he really wants one.
They should just have it right out in the open around his neck. We don't hide these. If we're using them, everyone can see it.
Let's
have you try it. So again, he'll probably just burst into flames in the first 15 minutes. I mean,
yeah,
somebody will just stand on the button the whole time.
Yeah, Moonbeam, you're correct. They were that some of the parents said things to the defense along the lines of, well, if it was your child or your kids or whatever. And the reason the judge was saying, you guys have brought your kids up over and over in this trial. Why wouldn't the parents respond to that? Right. Yeah. Yes, a Bart caller. Yes, I think so. PJ, I'm with you.
And frankly, if they're going to be defense attorneys and defend somebody like this, they need to grow a pair. Like, grow up. Yes. You don't get to react like that.
Yeah. Brooks says he has 20 people coming to speak on his behalf. No, you don't.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
You'll be lucky if you have 2 people.
I think he has 20 people in his head that may speak on his behalf. But
his mother has already said she will not be coming to speak on his behalf.
Yeah.
And who? All your baby mamas? Because they hate your ass. So now who you got?
Can you imagine anyone that would come and speak positively for him?
Some of your rapper friends? No, because they don't want to show up to court. Nobody wants to come to court and say good things about you. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's laughable to think that he has 20 character witnesses showing up. Yeah. But it doesn't matter.
No.
He's never getting out of prison, ever.
No.
He has been convicted of 6 murders.
6 first-degree murders, plus all those other charges.
Yeah.
He's never getting out.
No. Not at all. Now, I will say that in his case, the courthouse has been inundated with gifts for the judge.
Oh, I bet.
There have been cards, letters, flowers, and bottles of wine pouring in from the whole country from people thanking her for her service, thanking her for her patience and her professionalism and her ability to get through this. The whole world has been watching, or at least the whole country, and people are just here for it. And yeah, I love it. People have been sending bottles of wine. Not that she doesn't need those straight up right now, but I'm quite sure she won't be drinking those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did Brooks do it? Did they ever say? He had just assaulted one of his baby mamas and had left her house in a big tiff and was pissed and was, I think, just had his hair on fire and just didn't care.
And just did something insane.
Yeah. Oh, somebody from Rockashaw dressed up like Judge Jennifer for Halloween. That's awesome.
I like that. She's my new hero. Except for occasionally I'm like, you got to be tougher than this. You put up with too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, she did her damnedest to let him defend himself, to let him hang himself in
Alexa,
every way,
stop.
which worked.
I don't know. I didn't say her name. Did you say her name?
I did not say her name.
Talking.
We should rename her Daryl Brooks. Anyway, it's crazy. But yes, I think, I think Judge Jennifer and the Cruz judge definitely, they should get to go on some kind of a retreat together.
Yes, they should.
Yes. How are the pigs today? They're good. And I know this term seems a little unfair, but they've been disgruntled. Because it's getting cold.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of at that stage now where they get up in the morning, they go out, they eat breakfast, they go outside and go potty, and then they come in and get straight back in their bed for a few hours. And then as it gets a little sunnier and a little nicer, they go hang out in the backyard for a while. But winter is definitely rolling in and they are really all about it. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
Cammie said it was her mom saying hi. Cammie's mom passed last week. And everyone,
sorry.
You guys all know Cammie from the chat. We all want to send you our love and our condolences. And, we've been there. A lot of us have. So we love you. And we're really sorry you guys are going through this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How are they handling the puppies? Pretty good. Pretty good. Luca doesn't care at all. He'll get in the middle. The other night, Fiona bit a carrot in half. And before the other half of it even hit the floor, Luca had it and had run halfway through the house with it. And Scott ran him down and took it back from him so that she could finish her carrot. But he's not afraid of them at all, which makes me a tiny bit nervous because, and they're not mean, but they'll throw their head and they can bite really hard if they really want to.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't care. He dances right in between them. He jumps up on their bed and bounces off of them into my lap and stuff like that. And they just, they complain about it, but it's fine. But my little Bruno, my little teeny guy, he won't. And I think they do it on purpose. They'll stand in front of the doggy door inside the house so that he can't come in. And you'll hear him outside yipping and look down there. And if sure enough, it'll be Zig every time. Zig will be standing there, sticking his snout just through there and just standing there and won't let Bruno come in.
Just try it.
Luca will just come right through it. He doesn't care. He'll just go right under his legs and just come in the house. But not poor little Bruno. He's a little more afraid. And for good reason. Those hooves are pretty big for a little teeny guy. Luca's like twice the size of Bruno. So, he's braver. But it's going to be an interesting winter in this house with everyone in here all day, every day, including me. So, yeah. Yep. Oh, gosh. Amy said we learned my daughter's little puppy can't bite through wrappers. She's been carrying Halloween candy around the house, waiting for it to open. Oh, poor baby. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how they are. They're overall, they're fine. I did not attempt any Halloween dressing up this year for pigs or dogs. I just, COVID just kind of stripped a lot of my Halloween plans away. So.
Sure.
However, I've seriously considered leaving our Halloween decorations up and just putting Santa hats on all of them.
I think you should. There are a lot of people that do that.
I'm really seriously considering it. So we're
That'd
already
be
the
really
weirdos
cool.
on the street. We have, a murder of crows that live in our trees and hang around here all summer long, and magpies that we feed and take care of. And then we put up all of this crazy ass Halloween stuff. I mean, we could just continue to be weird. It wouldn't surprise anyone.
No, it wouldn't. Not at all.
I think I might. Yep. Well, I think we did it. What do you say?
We definitely did do it.
We
Yes.
did it and beyond did it. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
gonna do it. I'll get the Santa hats. I will share some pictures later. Oh, and
Awesome.
antlers. Antlers, that's a great idea.
Antlers. Oh, yeah.
I could 3D print antlers
Yeah, you could.
because we have a lot of the skeleton, like the skeleton dogs and
Oh, yeah.
dragons and
Give them
dinosaurs
antlers and
and
put
stuff.
bells around their necks or something.
Oh yeah, we could do jingle bells around their necks. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm in.
You could get a Rudolph nose on one of them, probably.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm in. This is happening.
All
It's
right.
going
I
down.
can't wait.
You guys are the best. Well, thank you, of course, for those of you that subscribe to the Psychic Hour. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 Mountain for that.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we'll be back next week with all new episodes. We had a big list this week of big stuff going down, and
Mhm.
well, we'll see what next week brings.
Right? A
But,
little scared to.
yeah, as always, please like, share, follow, all the stuff. And we appreciate you guys very much. There's also
Mhm.
2 new Patreons up that came up last week. So if you're a
Yep.
patron, be sure and go and watch them. 2 really interesting cases.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad. Take care.
Bye, everybody.